Hi, Dan.
Hi Lara, how are you?
I am well, thank you. Nice to see you again.
You too, you too. I really enjoyed our chat a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I did as well, and I had lots of thoughts after we finished. I mean, 15 minutes was not long enough for us to talk about everything we want to talk about. So yeah, thank you for today. I'm really looking forward to getting to know a bit more about you and how you are thinking about neurodiversity in your own skin. Um, I remember last time we spoke about my diagnosis, and I remember I told you that just knowing you and observing you from the outside, I thought it would be a good idea for you to get diagnosed. Have you given that any thoughts at all?
Yeah, I remember that, Lara. I remember you really put me on the spot and very, very, very personal. But you know that's a good thing, right? Because I think that we're all in the same um, aim here of normalising these discussions. So whilst I was put on the spot, I was happy that you did it in retrospect. And yeah, so I did take your advice. I think, working within neurodiversity in business, and we've got, we're all volunteers here. We were pretty much exclusively neurodivergent. So there's a lot of that floating around, and quite a few of the team have also shared your view. So I did start that process, the assessment process. It's the public route NHS is incredibly difficult, which is a shame, and that's a worry because then it disenfranchises a significant part of our population who don't probably have access to independent or private diagnosis down to cost. But I did go through start the process now of an independent diagnosis, and I guess the reason I did that is one, I was listening to what some people who I trust like you have been saying to me, but also the second thing where I've always been quite resistant, I felt quite dishonest actually, Lara, in that I'm out there on stage talking about neurodiversity and the fact that it's a difference, it doesn't make you less, but I haven't necessarily been willing to back up my words with actions. So you gave me a lot of power and energy in what you've done, and then others, I've seen who've gone through adult diagnosis. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. It's a mystery to me. The two topics that are being discussed are ADHD and autism spectrum condition, and it's today actually.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
exciting.
So after we finish speaking, will be the meeting, and yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it because I think like something I learned from you is actually it's just good to talk. It's good to kind of analyze yourself and go through these discussion processes. So interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think it really helps you understand yourself better, make sense of, your behavior, your thought process, your energy levels. It really, really makes a difference in how you manage yourself then going forward. Are you happy to share any? I mean, you are probably aware enough of some symptoms or how autism or ADHD shows up in someone's life and someone's behavior. Are you happy to share what makes you think that you would like to go for these two rather than dyslexia, for example, or dyspraxia?
Oh gosh, I can hardly not share now you've asked me in public. Okay, so yeah, I'll share. So I think that I guess I'm lucky and I'm privileged. I'm a white male with a good job. I've been through a good kind of education process, and my experience is only my own. And the most important thing I would say is that it's such a broad spectrum, and only when we truly kind of pause on that perspective can we understand it. In that I'm so different from my little boy, the Joshy man. Joshy is pre-verbal or non-verbal. He experiences the world massively different from others. He has big sensory processing issues, and he gets upset very quickly. He has meltdowns, bless him. But on the other side, and I see this so clearly, he's got such a power of intelligence under the surface, and he's got such good understanding, which the traditional theories around autism, which are, you know, the medical model, the kind of the raw diagnosis, that doesn't actually translate to how he experiences the world. Mm-hmm. So I would want to always be respectful that any of my thoughts, I don't want to diminish what he's going through. And then also I'm very respectful of the fact that I can't, in my kind of journey here, I can't diminish those who are having more significant challenges, who view this as a disability. So I'm respectful of those points. But in terms of me personally, because I'm trying to avoid your question there, Lara, a little bit. So I guess I'm incredibly organised, and I live my life through spreadsheets, really. My family are always criticising me for the number of spreadsheets I have in terms of stuff that we're doing, planning, personal stuff. And I'm like that with my work, actually. I feel a lot more comfortable when I have that rigid structure around me and I create that structure. In my mind, I think that what I'm doing is I'm making my operational efficiency maximised. Now, others who have fed back to me sometimes think, actually, are you more interested in the process than the actual output? So that's something that I've kind of been dealing with through my career and you know, all the way through education. And again, these things aren't outwardly the most significant, right? So this isn't the same as my little boy and him not being able to communicate verbally, but they're just indicative of, to a lesser extent, differences in people's the way they deal with information and the way they interpret the world, and also interact with people, right? Because people have a real difference in terms of how comfortable they are interacting. Now, I'm very comfortable out there public speaking, for example. I really enjoy talking about neurodiversity. I'm happy to be up on stage, and I don't get nervous. But sometimes the kind of the more personalized interactions, they tend to be you know, more tiring, right? So look, I hadn't prepared for this, Lara. I don't know what else. Keep going. Ask me more questions.
Sure. That was great. And I mean, the whole point of us having this conversation is to really not come prepared and just bring our clumsy self and show up to the world as we actually are, you know, thinking about things, not knowing all the answers, and that's totally okay. I think what you mentioned about how things show up in your world is very different to Josh in this case, or anyone else. I think this is really important. And I don't know if there's enough scientific research around the intersectionality between, say, if you're ADHD, but you're an introvert, or if you're autistic, but you're an extrovert. Like, how does this intersect with different personalities and different characters, and obviously different cultural differences? It must be very, very different. It's almost as unique to you as, you know, your fingerprint, really, because it's really hard to get, you know, the exact same circumstances for every single person. You know, if you're a middle child, probably it's going to be very different to you being the youngest. And I really think it's a very, very good point to highlight. And whilst there are some, you know, indicative symptoms that people can look at to see if they want to get diagnosed or not, or if they can relate to a neurodiverse condition, I really think that science probably cannot and has not so far gotten a full overview of how does this manifest itself in different, you know, people's lives based on their personalities and their circumstances and their cultures and so forth. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, does, like, since you haven't got the diagnosis yet, does it make you at all nervous?
Yeah, it does.
Tell me more.
I think in two senses. Number one is that I'm nervous because I don't want to say or do the wrong thing. So I don't want to kind of project my worldview onto others. I don't want to, this is all new to me, right? You know, the language, the community, etc. And I don't feel the need particularly to fit in, but what I do feel the need to do is leave the world. When I'm gone, I want the world to be a better place for the Joshy man. So if I can, you know, bare my soul a little bit and feel very uncomfortable in doing so, but it does promote a little bit of discussion in my little part of the world, right? It's a small part of the world. If I can do that, then I feel that actually it's worthwhile doing so. Now, why I've been resistant previously, and you know, I've not been very honest on this topic, is that I've just been scared about impact on career. To be really frank, I've been worried. Will it make people treat me differently? Will they react to me differently? Will I not get on jobs? You know, what's my future career prospects? And that's not from a kind of an egotistical point of view. I think it's the fact that I'm here with my job, and the salary that comes in goes out to pay for speech therapy and occupational therapy for Josh. So I'm really protective of that, because that's my kind of raison d'etre. That's why I get out of bed in the morning and I work. So I'm nervous about that. I'm nervous about kind of how do I deal with this if it's confirmed, and then also what if they come back and say, no, you know, you're not on that spectrum. How does that leave me? And I guess kind of just keen to find out what they do say. Either way, I think it's a useful process to go through, right? Irrespective of whether it's outcome A or outcome B, it's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your concerns. I'm sure that a lot of people out there share with you the same concerns, and they may think that they're alone. So in you sharing that, I think that would make them relate. And if I may offer a piece of advice, just show up authentically. Like, you're scared, you don't know what to do, you don't know the impact on your career. I think the more open you are about this and the more you share your journey, the more, you know, people will, you know how this feels for lots of other people. And so you can give better advice. But two, people also know that, you know, there's someone out there who has been on this journey before, and maybe you will make it accessible to them to also do the same. So is it fair to ask you to do another podcast tomorrow once you get the results? I'd like to get you fresh in after you read the report and get your views on how does it feel, what are you going to do, and anything else that might come to your mind.
Okay. Yes, as you've asked me publicly, and I may not be the most eloquent, I may not have absorbed everything, but you know, a quick initial reaction, of course. Yeah, happy to.
Perfect. Then I shall see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Lara. Take care.
Good luck, Dan. Good to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.